Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here. And it's 5:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, October 29th, 2015. And I've decided I'm going to have a bit of a say here. I told you I was going to tell you a story. This is in the way of a story, but it's also in the way of a serious point. I had a very good friend who was a physician down in the Carolinas. And he moved down there in 1989, and I would go down there and visit him 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, and because I took 8 weeks off a year. I took off like 2 1-week intervals and then 3 2-week intervals. And the 1-week intervals were for meetings, were for anesthesia medical meetings, to keep my CME up. And the other 3 were just basically the other 3 2-week intervals were just Paul and I would go usually up to Michigan on 2 of those 2-week intervals, and then the other 2-week interval was me just sort of, not doing anything. Reading, playing with the dogs, living the place. But so in this case, this was in 2000. Well, it was in 2000. It was in it was late summer 2000. But anyway, I was down at his place in it's just about 3 or 4 miles from the South Carolina border there in North Carolina, about halfway between Charlotte and Wilmington. You can figure out where it is. The county it's in has the name of a country in the United Kingdom. Look on a map, you'll find it. It's a nice place. It's a great place. I mean, I highly recommend, if you can stand the climate, I highly recommend the American South, certainly the Carolina part of the American South to anybody who wishes to live in a pleasant climate. It's just, God, well, having said that, now I'm going to say it's hellishly hot. Oh, it's just god-awful hot. But I'll tell you, between October and March, it's just one of the greatest places on earth to live, There's no question. And then again, if you don't mind the heat, it's great any time of year. The teenage guys running around with their shirts off are just magnificent. Kind of like Indiana. It's been a long day out watching the construction. All right, now to get to the point, and there is a relatively serious point to all this. So, the night in question, there was a dinner, and his wife was and is, since she's still alive. He fell down the stairs and brained himself, and is dead now, unfortunately. And it's magnificent cook, magnificent cook. This woman can cook up a storm. And my friend had this formal dining. They lived in the sort of, it wasn't quite a McMansion, but he had formal dining room, and he had put in one of these parquet type ceilings, handmade wooden ceilings that drop down, under the sheetrock. This was not a sheetrock ceiling. I mean, the ceiling in that house was a work of art in itself. I mean, Mr. Williams, who refinished my great grandfather's rocking chair. The same guy refinished my great grandfather's rocking chair did this ceiling. Wonderful. Anyway, the great thing about the South is you meet people, you develop relationships with people, and you think that you kind of know them and that you can interact with them. All right. So at this dinner, there was me, my friend, his wife, his daughter. Let's see, his daughter was still young enough not to necessarily be included in one of these things. The man across from me was a pathologist with whom I had interviewed actually when I was thinking about transferring my practice down to that town because I really liked the place. I really did. And he and I had grown to see each other, every time I went down there, and we got along. I thought we got along very well, and my son went down and met him, and and my son had a melanoma, sort of a basal cell-y thing, and then a melanoma, and he was a pathologist, and he sent my son's slides off to the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, and he took an extra look at him, and he found that my son had this really odd variant of both basal cell and melanoma, and that, said, you need to have a very aggressive treatment on both these, and as far as I'm concerned, this man saved my son's life. So I'm sitting across from what I consider to be the man who saved my son's life. And then there was another fellow there who had been a friend, of theirs, and I think he and his wife had been a friend with both my friend and his wife, and they moved back to Texas from where they both were. They were both from Texas, but his wife moved down because she was buying the house or establishing themselves in the house, and their house up there hadn't sold, so he was there. And there, I think there was someone else, but such a non-entity I can't remember. Certainly not a bigoted, hateful non-entity. Here comes the point of the story. I can't remember how the talk turned to gay issues. I didn't raise it. I mean, I had been down to that town from 1989 on often enough that it was kind of an open secret that, Brad's friend is gay. Okay. But he doesn't act like a flit. Well, I don't. That was a general accepted interpretation down there. I'm sure Harley, the now deceased pathologist, knew that. Well, we'd all had a bit of stuff. By the way, Harley was probably one of the most well-read lay historians on the Civil War, in the eastern United States. He had a library that was just, when I say, he had one of these, when I say about a mansion, he did have a true mansion. He had one of these cotton planters' mansions that were built in the 1910s at the height of the cotton market before it crashed. He huge, and not just one room, 3 or 4 rooms with wall-to-wall books about the Civil War. He'd read every single one. And here's this really, the man knew how to read Greek. The man knew how to read Latin. Here's an educated, urbane man who had saved my son's life. And for some reason, the talk turned to people who were gay. People who were gay. Well, he said, the essence of his remarks were they should be exterminated. I thought, well, I've had too much of this. I misunderstood. I said, I said, are you engaging in an hyperbole? No. This man was as serious as a heart attack when he was serious. He's a great guy otherwise. Well, he's a great guy when he's being serious, unless it's being directed toward you. Okay, well, so I'm not going to make a scene at my friend's dinner table. I'm not going to do that. The man's going to make a living in the town. I'm not going to do that. So I just kept my mouth shut. All right, so the evening went on. The fellow who was moving to Texas he was kind of an asshole anyway. So I have nothing to say negative. He was just being what he was. I was really surprised about Harley, though. In any case, I was, debating, do I get up and walk out right now and, get in my truck and leave? I thought, well, no, I can't get in my truck and leave because I've had too much to drink. I can't drive, So it was my friend Brad's way. They had a pool house. I stayed out in the pool house, which was a lot better than staying in the back room, which was his office where the fucking cat shit box was. Or the bathroom, off his office where the cat shit box was. So he walks about it's a charming. This man was one of those charming, gracious guys I've ever met in my life. But I thought he would say, when we got out there, I thought he would say, Joe. I felt so humiliated that you had to sit and listen to that. And I would have said, yes, I understand. You couldn't have said anything. You have to make a living in this town. I understand. And that would have been that. Or he could have said, oh, Joe, I had no idea Harley was such a bigot. And I said, oh, neither did I. And he would have said, do you understand I can't say anything because I have to stay here in town and make a living? And I would have said, yes, I understand. And that would have been that. And the way my mind works, when somebody says stuff like that to me, when I say it's over and it's gone and I forget, I do. I mean, I really do. I heard all sorts of stuff in my line of work. I couldn't begin to tell you what people said because when you're supposed to forget it, you forget it. I mean, that's the kind of thing, if he had apologized, I would have forgotten it. You wouldn't be hearing about this. But no, he didn't. He went through his little, tucking Joe into bed routine. No, it's not what it sounds like. He unfolds the bed in the pool house and all this. And I thought, well, fuck, Brad, I can do that shit. I mean, it's just, I wanted to go to bed. Yeah. No, he wants to talk about stuff. He wants to talk about everything except what's important. And normally I really enjoyed that because, it's fun to talk with my friend. I wasn't feeling any talkative fucking mood that night, I'll tell you right now. Finally, he left, and then I went home the next morning. I was thinking about leaving right then. I couldn't have driven then, but I got out of there by 4:30 in the morning. Zippo contact for over 2 years or more. Finally, his wife's mother, Rita's great. She's in her mid-90s now, but always been great, lively, with it. Says, "What's happening between you and Brad?" I said, "Nothing as far as I'm concerned. There wasn't anything happening." So I told her the story. She says, "Oh, I wondered about that. And that's, so. And then a few years later, he fell down the stairs, brained himself. That's it. No reconciliation. And it's interesting. The pathologist who I considered to have saved my son's life, he died. I was really surprised at the intense hatefulness. That, we'll just exterminate him, hurt him in the camps. What? You're an educated man. You saved my son's life. Why would you? Unbelievable. Who knows what lurks behind those curtains, huh? So on that note, I think I've had my say. At least on this issue for now. So I'll say bye-bye, YouTubers.